So we are looking that we have people from all over the place. I can see folk in different parts of the USA and folk in different parts of the UK. We have Reverend Elder Hickster from Mexico, and I'm sure that other people will join us from other places, as well as, oh, there you are, Pastor Kevin's in Mexico, as well as many different places around the US. This is being recorded, so everybody knows somebody. So please, once the link comes out for this recording, please share it far and wide, because if you've got questions, other people have got questions, and we really want to make sure that everybody has the best opportunity to enjoy our next general conference together. So I'm going to open us in prayer, and then we're going to crack on with our presentation. Please let us know who you are and where you are in the world. And also, if you have questions, please put them in the chat as we go along. So, and we're going to do our best to spot them and answer them in time. And if we don't do that, we'll make sure we do a sweep at the end of each section just to make sure we've not missed anything. So, let us pray. Loving God, you called MCC into being, and we continue to lift up that vision that you gave to Reverend Troy Perry. You call us to keep evolving into the next stage of our being. Help us as we discuss this general conference and how we are evolving general conference, to listen, to understand, to clarify, and to risk change. Help us to hear our concerns and our enthusiasms, and help us to share wisely the information that we have gained in this time. We are so grateful to be here and thankful for the technology that connects us across thousands of miles. In your many names, in the name of Jesus and through the power of the Holy Spirit, we offer you this time together. Amen.
Amen.
All right, folk. I invite you just to mute yourselves while the presentation's on. And like I say, put your questions in the chat and we'll do the best we can to answer them. There are several people here who are on the core team who are steering the process for General Conference. Hopefully, if we have time, we will be able to introduce them to you so you know all the folk that are helping us do this important work. So the importance of this, the purpose of this webinar is to give you all an overview of how General Conference 2025 is going to work, and invite you to share that information with others and to ask as many questions as you would like to. Now, we are in a time of change and transition, and the way that we're doing General Conference this time is an experiment. And following this General Conference, the feedback that you all give us will go to the Commission on General Conference, and it is the Commission that will make recommendations about how we do General Conferences going forward. Okay? And so what we're trying here is an experiment. It doesn't mean that this is how we're going to do General Conference forever, amen. The people who will decide how we do General Conference are the voting delegates of the General Conference, and you will all get a chance to vote on the recommendations from the General Conference Commission after they have completed their work after this General Conference of 2025. Okay? So if you love online business, great. If you hate it, great. We will vote going forward about the structure of General Conference altogether at some future time in 2025. Okay, so this is an experiment. We're trying it out. All right, so today you're going to hear about the Transformational Weekend, which will be both online and on site. And as you know, we are going to Scottsdale, Arizona, USA, and we are going to create Oasis. Before we meet in person and online, but not in person, on site and online in Scottsdale, we will have had our business meeting online. Okay. And I hear someone asking why were churches not consulted about the business meeting? Because we're trying an experiment, and we'd already had one online business meeting, and that had been quite successful for various reasons I'll go into when we get there. So, but we'll be looking for feedback from this meeting to see how it goes. So that's what we're going to do today, answering your questions as we go along. Thank you, Letitia, for that question. So Mike is going to guide us through, and Lauren, about the transformational weekend, and then I will guide us through the business meeting. So over to you, Mike.
Thank you, Cecilia. So the transformational weekend, while it's sort of a weekend, Thursday through Sunday, it'll start on Thursday night, July 3rd, and end Sunday early afternoon on July 6th. And so it's kind of over a weekend, but not entirely just a Friday or just a Saturday and Sunday. As Cecilia just mentioned, it is going to be in Scottsdale, Arizona, and it'll be the host hotel is the Hilton Embassy Suites Resort. It's a beautiful property. All of the rooms are suites, and so they have some unique features to them that I'll get to in a second. It overlooks Camelback Mountain, so when you step outside and look in the distance, you'll see Camelback Mountain. It's walking distance from Old Town Scottsdale, which is just a lot of little shops and lots of places to go and do things. It's also very close to the entertainment district and the art district. It's right on a waterfront that goes by with an actually really long path that you can walk on or bike on. And it's also right near Fashion Square. All of those are within walking distance of the hotel, almost, just like across the street from the hotel. Here are some pictures of the hotel. The picture in the upper right is Camelback Mountain. And so that's what you see. I actually took that picture when I visited the hotel, and I was looking out the window of my hotel room to take that picture. So the rest of the pictures, you can see that the rooms are a suite. There are actually two different pool areas, and a tennis court area and a workout area and all kinds of other things. So there's a lot to the hotel itself. We've negotiated an extremely great rate of $119 a night. There's normally a resort fee that's added on, and they have waived that resort fee. There are still some taxes and other things that are on top of the $119. And I apologize, I don't have the total figure with the taxes. We figured it out. I'm going to guess it's around $130. And maybe Lauren or Kim can look that up for me and verify that, but I think it's right around that price with the taxes. Each room easily fits 3 or more people. It will have a separate sleeping area. It has a pull-out bed in like a living room area. There's also a kitchenette, which has a mini fridge and a microwave and an extra sink. It has a desk and chair. And so they're very comfortable rooms and quite large rooms as well. If you plan to come a little bit early, maybe a day or two early to do some things in Scottsdale or in the Phoenix area, or you want to stay late for other things, you can get that same rate of $119 for up to 5 days before and 5 days after the general conference. So if you are booking before or after those actual dates, you can get the same rate, and that's available on the website when you go to make your reservation. Another feature of the hotel is they do a free made-to-order breakfast, and it's a really delicious breakfast. It is not, it's more than just a continental breakfast. There is a lot of items that are at the breakfast, and if you are staying at the resort, you will get a free breakfast that you can go to. There's also a free afternoon appetizer and cocktail hour that happens in kind of the same room, which is right near the pool, where you can have And again, they're pretty heavy appetizers, so they're not necessarily just cheese and crackers. There's a few more things that are there as well. There's also a really nice restaurant on site. It offers free shuttles to many of the restaurants, the bars, or the shopping area, or any of the other areas if you don't want to walk to them, or they also have bikes that you can use for free. There is this free shuttle. Um, I'm going to go back to the picture for a second. So this hotel is a little different than the ones we've stayed at in the past. If you've ever attended a general conference, if you look in the upper left corner, you'll notice there are only 4 floors to this hotel. It is not a 20 or 30 floor hotel. And we have the entire resort, or at least the majority of it, but the rooms are limited. So we encourage you to make your reservations early so that you can secure the room that you want to have, and for whatever nights you need to. In order to reserve a room, you can go to our general conference website, and there's a link on there, and we'll be giving you that email, that link address in a few seconds. Do we have exclusive use of the hotel? For the most part, the answer is yes. There may be some non-MCC guests that have already booked or done other things, but for the most part, we have the entire hotel. Did I miss any other questions? Thank you, Lauren. Any shuttle to and from the airport? Unfortunately, no, there is not a shuttle to or from the airport. So you'll probably have to do a lift or something like that to get back and forth. And Lauren posted the $135 is with all the taxes. So then, Lauren, do you want to talk a little bit about the schedule?
I would delight in doing that. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Reverend Cecilia. Good to see so many people here today. Thank you. And thank you for your questions. Keep them coming. So, this conference is different because business is done online. So, by the time we get to this conference, we will have already done all of the business. And so, we can focus in on some of the movement building parts of our conference and some of the educational opportunities for the conference. And so I'll talk about this or go through each day of the schedule, but we also have some pre and post conference opportunities. We're still finalizing some of those, so you'll hear about those as they roll out. Right now, RevM, Readiness for Vocational Ministry, the retreat for folks who are discerning ordination in MCC, will happen before the conference. We also have a retreat that will start on Thursday that will be facilitated by the Council of Elders for folks to just have a moment before conference to settle in and have some intentions and that sort of thing before everyone else gets on site. So we're planning on adding in a few more, just working on some budget things to go with that. This part of the program is the part that we know and love of conference, just all kind of compressed into the weekend. So worship, plenary sessions or large group sessions. Plenary sessions are large group where everybody's together in the room. Small groups and workshops, entertainment, all of that kind of thing. And then lots of space for people to get to know each other and network and all of that. Next slide. So this is a little bit of a breakdown. This is also on our website, so you can look at some of the details on the General Conference website too. And all of that should be screen reader friendly. So if you're someone who uses a screen reader, that should work great for you. If it doesn't for some reason, please let us know. We do have folks who test that, but from time to time we have some issues. So on Thursday, we have the pre-conference retreat with the Council of Elders, like I just mentioned. RevM will actually start a few days before that. There will be a network leader gathering, and we're working on getting a Latinx gathering. So we're really excited about that too. There'll be an opening afternoon reception, and actually each day of conference, there'll be a reception for everyone to be able to participate in that'll have wine and cocktails and beer and some snacks and soft drinks, that kind of thing at 4 o'clock. The evening centering worship will be an opportunity for us to just come in and kind of be together. And then we'll have a movie night and discussion. Trans Mexico is a film that's actually currently going around the film film festival circuit right now, so it's not available yet for individual viewing. So our event will be one of the first events that's outside of the film festival circuit that Trans Mexico will be offered. So we're really excited about that opportunity. It centers on the lives of 3 trans women in Mexico. And then afterward, we'll have a panel discussion that features a trans masculine perspective to have a little bit of a balance there between different perspectives there. On Friday, we'll have breakfast. Breakfast is free every day at the Embassy Suites, which is a great thing about that. So that, like Mike already said, and then the other days we'll have devotional time with the elders, and worship celebration that morning will be the big conference worship that if you've been to conference before, you know, people are lining up in the hallway ready for a big processional, big music, all of that. We're anticipating having 3 different preachers for this service to sort of show some of the diversity theologically and otherwise in MCC, and have different languages represented there too. And then after lunchtime, lunch will be on one's own that day. We'll have our keynote, Sands of Change for Collective Liberation. And one of our featured speakers for that keynote presentation will be Reverend Claudio Carveles. And we're really just excited to have him. That session will include some small group discussion and larger group discussion. So it'll be a real time to dive in a little bit, to think about what does it really mean to be church right now? And what are ways that we can lean into the opportunity right now and the challenges? I think all of us experience that to different extents, maybe depending on our context, but feel the weight of being church now. And then again, the same evening reception, we'll have a drag gospel hour featuring Flamey Grant. If you haven't already heard her music, you'll get the opportunity to. She's an award-winning drag queen who sings her own music of her own experience and theological understanding, which is a really amazing opportunity. So she'll do a concert, and then in between giving her some breaks, we'll have a drag gospel hour where we can all sing along in that kind of way. Next slide. On Saturday, we have free breakfast again, some devotional time. In the morning, we'll have morning worship, and then we'll keep going with our keynote. Our hope for this weekend is that we can have one big conversation about what it means to be church now, what it means for MCC, what it means for our individual churches, what it means for our individual lives. And so we'll continue that conversation into Saturday. We'll also have some time here to hold some of the laments that we carry right now, being people in the world and being leaders in the church. After lunch, we'll have some workshops. And so we're doing 2 sessions of workshops. And we already have some folks that have been selected to offer some workshops, and we'll have opportunities for others who want to offer some workshops to tell us about that. You can look for that in January after the registration price changes, which we'll talk about in just a moment. Then free evening reception again. Each of these will have a little bit of a theme to them too. So you can look for that when it gets a little closer to conference. And then for worship that evening, we're doing a dinner church experience. So as a part of your conference registration fee, dinner will be included for this Saturday evening dinner church, and we'll worship together over dinner. So an opportunity to get to know each other and get to worship together in that way. And then we'll end the night with a dance party. Sunday morning, we will have the same kind of rhythm of the morning, and then we'll have closing worship that will feature the installation or recommitment of the moderator. Afterward, we'll have some opportunity for folks to explore Scottsdale more, and we're working on a post-conference opportunity for some of our young adults to have a little retreat after conference. I see a question in there about needing to know the specific dates and topics for Pre-Conference Institute. Some of those are online, and we're updating it as we have information for them. A couple of them we're still working on some of the details, and we hope to get that as soon as possible. You can keep putting in questions in there. These are great. Yeah, Ray asked, in arranging flight times, how early do Thursday events start? So the real kickoff will be that reception at 4 o'clock. So I would plan to be there by 4 or 5. Worship will be around 7 o'clock. So if that helps you as you're planning some of your travel. And then I'm sure the other question will be, when do I go home? When's a good time to return? On Sunday, the last official event will be closing worship. And so I would eat lunch before I head off to the airport. So maybe an early afternoon flight at the earliest if you're looking to leave right away. Registration, we've converted this into different dollar amounts. I'm just going to talk about US dollars just for the sake of time, if that's okay with everyone. But the early bird registration rate, which ends at the end of December 31st, is $325. And we have an online early bird rate for $200. So something we haven't really talked yet about in this webinar is that the experience will be hybrid. So the plenary sessions, worship experiences will be streamed online to those who register online. And you'll get access to the Whova app that will be able to connect attendees who are both online and those who are in Scottsdale. And so no matter how you're thinking about worshiping or being together for conference, making sure to register so you can be on that app and have those kinds of connections is a really great opportunity, and you can save some money by registering by the end of the year. If you have a financial conflict or your church needs to pay for registration at the top of the year, that kind of thing, you can talk to us about that. But we are hoping to have the majority of registrants by the end of the year so we can have an idea of who's coming and invite people into different opportunities then for worship or workshops or different sessions throughout the time. Registration is open, so you can go to generalconference.mccchurch.org to register now if you haven't already registered, or to register other folks from your congregation. Because beginning January 1st, the regular rate will jump to $400 US, and the online registration rate, I don't think that's correct. It says 400 on here, but that's not correct. So it goes up $100, so I think it's $300 USD.
Yeah, sorry, that is not correct.
Yeah, sorry about that. I missed that too in proofreading these. So listen to our words, don't look at the screen. I'm just reading some of the questions in the chat here. Aside from pre-conference activities, will there be any programming for youth or young adults during conference? There's often opportunities for people to get together and have some sort of soft space time. We're anticipating having some of those, because we're all in suites, it's a great opportunity that if you're a young adult or a part of any kind of affinity group, if you're interested in helping us to host affinity group spaces, there's an opportunity to use part of our suites for that and other rooms across the conference center. There's also a day that we're planning on doing affinity group lunches at one of the lunches or one of the receptions. That's one of the details that we're still working out to see when folks want to meet for affinity groups. So if you're a part of any kind of affinity and you'd like to be a part of any of those or like to lead those, we would love to hear from you and love to see what kinds of folks you would like to meet at conference. How long will the young adult event post-conference be roughly? We're thinking that it would start Sunday evening or Monday morning and last until Tuesday night or Wednesday morning. And Lily, if you're interested in more information about that, you can contact us. And if you're interested in helping plan that too, or see what that experience is like, we're open to that too. I know you love to be involved in stuff. If you book the online conference, then change your mind, can you change it? If so, will you get the early bird rate if you originally booked the early bird time? For individual circumstances like that, if something changes in your circumstance, or you change your mind on something, we're happy to work with you to convert your registrations and make sure that you're paying an equitable price. Any other questions? These are great questions. I hope this helps a little bit to see and to vision a little of what conference is. It really is this movement building way of seeing conference. We've been using this language of retreat to try to really sway people who haven't been to conference before to consider coming to conference and to see that conference is for anyone in MCC, not only lay delegates or clergy, but really anyone who's a part of any MCC. So we're hoping that that kind of language can catch on and help people who haven't been to conference yet and don't know anything about the experience, but what we're actually planning is very similar to the last 3 days of what General Conference often is. And so if you've been to conference before, hopefully this sounds familiar and there's not a whole lot of things that are different, other than there's more things that are covered in your registration rate. So those receptions and breakfast is covered with your hotel registration or your hotel booking, and then we'll have dinner together as a part of your fee. So the fee is actually going a little bit further to offer more opportunity with that fee than we've been able to do before.
The
I was just
online, yeah, the online regular rate is $225. So the slide is wrong. It's $225. Lily, yeah, we do plan to do another first timers webinar for those who have never attended a general conference. So in the March-April timeframe, we'll do a webinar for just those who might be first timers and kind of talk about what happens there. And if you're a new late delegate or anything like that, we'll talk about that as well. There are two other things that we are raising money that go along with the general conference, and one of them is the Go Global Fund. We started that the last time, and in 2022. It kind of replaces the Be a Gem program, if you were familiar with that, but it will support somebody else wanting to attend general conference. And so when you register, you can add on the Go Global Fund, or you can also just go onto our website and there's a link that you can just give, even if you have already registered or you don't want to register. You can give money that way, and it will just really help others who want to attend who might not have the financial means to do that. They might be outside the US or other things like that. And so I'd encourage, if you're interested, to do that when you register or at another time. There's also sponsorships, so we're certainly contacting organizations, seminaries and businesses and things like that to see if they want to be a title or a platinum or a gold or a silver or a bronze sponsorship. And then they'll be in the exhibit hall and things like that. There is also printed advertisements, so people can just have some ad in a PDF printed program that we'll be doing, and then also online advertisements, whether that's on the website or before the plenaries, before the worship services, on slides and things like that. There will be some advertisements. And then very popular with our group are shout outs, where you might want to recognize the pastor at your church or the anniversary of your church or something like that. You can do a shout out, which is just a small ad that can be run, and they're relatively inexpensive. And so those opportunities are there as well. Again, to do any of the sponsorships, to give to the Go Global Fund, or to find any links, the General Conference website is generalconference.mccchurch.org. I didn't see any new questions come in, and so I think I'm going to turn it over to Cecilia.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. One of the joys of Zoom is that I zoom in and out of worship spaces from the comfort of my own home. And on Sunday, I worshipped with Church of the Trinity, MCC, and Reverend Elder Lily Brock was preaching. And as many of you know, she's a fine preacher. And she talked about the fact that we need to make a way, and there's no point in saying we want something if we're not prepared to change. And she gave the example of saying we can't say we want black folk in the church, but we don't want their music and we don't want to hear them preaching in their style. MCC is a global organization. And if we are true to that and we want to be inclusive, then having the only place that people can join in the discussion about things that are important to us as a community and how we listen for God's word on the decisions that we make. If we can only do that by being in one room, in one country at one time, and only some people being allowed to speak, then that doesn't help us really be the global inclusive organization that we want to be. Let me just give you a couple of statistics, okay? In 2019, when we were electing a moderator and we had our general conference in Orlando, Florida, USA, we had 370 delegates in the business meeting from 8 countries. When we had our business meeting online in 2022, we had 337 delegates from 14 different countries, nearly double the number of countries that were able to vote and that were able to participate. And after that online gathering, which we had to have because of COVID, we asked the participants to fill in a survey. And not everybody does that, but the ones that did, we asked them, would you rather have the business meeting and all the workshops and everything together or separate? And 21 people said we'd prefer it separate. 11 people said we'd prefer it together. And 5 people said, I don't mind one way or another. So the governing board, on the basis of this information, made the decision to try this other way of working together. So we have some time where we're on site, that's really important. And now we have the hybrid element so that you can still participate, even if you're not able to get a visa, even if you're not able to travel due to health or work commitments, even if your church can't afford to send you there, you can still be involved. And there is no fee attached to registering for the business meeting. So to exercise your democratic right as a clergy person or as a lay delegate representing a congregation, there's no fee for that. There's no registration for that. And so I'm going to walk you through the different aspects of the business meeting, explaining what they are and what we're trying to do. And like I say, this is an experiment, and after it's all over and done, we'll ask you what you thought. And based on that, the General Conference Commission, which will make its recommendations towards the end of the year, then that's where that will be, okay? So the first thing we asked you to do was send in any bylaw proposals. We didn't receive any from the body of MCC, but as far as I know, there are 2 bylaw proposals coming forward. One is from the Commission on Rites and Sacraments, and it's just about the wording that's in the bylaws. It's not going to be about whether you need to be baptized to be a member or what ordination means. It's not about that. It's about what is going to go in the bylaws in terms of what we say about rites and sacraments. And then the other one is one that the governing board is looking at regarding making it easier for local congregations to have their annual meeting. Again, you remember during the pandemic, it was like, well, bylaws say this, but we can't meet. So how do we manage that? So it's trying to give more flexibility for local churches. So those will be 2 bylaw proposals that will be coming to you. If you want to make a motion for General Conference to discuss, you're very welcome to do so. And that needs to be into the clerk of the governing board, Mark Godet, by the 24th of January. So if something's burning on your heart that you think MCC should address, you're very welcome to put in a motion. The reason that the deadline is so early is so that we have lots of time to discuss these things. And remember, as part of being inclusive, we want to translate everything. So an example of a previous motion, Lily, would be to set up a commission to look at how we do General Conference, or to request that the governing board examine how we might fund something. But when we put in a motion, we need to think carefully about how this might impact everybody around the world. So we're going to come on to that, okay? So motions by the 24th of January, that will give us time to get them translated for the discussion circles that I'll come on to in a minute. You register for the business meeting separately from registering for the transformational weekend. So again, if you cannot attend the on-site thing, you can still vote if you're entitled to vote in the online business meeting. Okay, I'll talk about when the documents will come out. Some of you may remember that in 2019, we had discussion circles. Some of you participated in them. When we have got the bylaw proposals and the motions, we will send out a discussion pack. These are the things that you will be voting on in the business meeting. The discussion circles are your opportunity to ask questions, to discuss what the implications might be for your congregation or for other congregations, and to give feedback to the people who put forward the motions, put forward the bylaw proposals. These are open to anyone. They will run from halfway through February to halfway through March. They will be in different time zones. They will be in different languages, and you can go to as many as you like. And I recommend that you go to more than one so you can hear from different parts of the world what people are saying. Okay? If you are a delegate, this is the time when people would go to the microphone and propose friendly amendments, or say there's a full stop missing, or this won't work in Brazil because it's against the law. Okay, what we're trying to do is get all that information and get your feedback on things that maybe the person who wrote the bylaws hadn't thought about. At every discussion circle, there will be someone to facilitate the discussion, someone to take notes, and someone to manage all the tech to make sure it works. Okay? All of those notes from all of those discussion circles will be publicly available to you on the General Conference website, and they will be translated. So if you want to know what the people in the discussion groups that were in Spanish said, it will be translated into English. If the people in the Spanish-speaking group want to know what all the folk that were discussing things in English would be, it's all there in Spanish for them. All that information will also go back to the people who did the motions and the bylaws. Okay? So you have an opportunity to hear what everyone else is saying around the world through reading the notes. You can go to as many different discussion circles as you like. You don't have to go to the one that's just in your time zone. And there was fun, I think it was Deacon Felix Power. He went to several last time, and he was like a bee pollinating, because he would say, well, I went to the one in Australia and this is what they were saying. So it's a great way. You don't have to understand Robert's rules. You don't have to put forward, hold up cards. It's a discussion circle, right? Once we got all that feedback back, the people who put forward the bylaw proposals or put forward the motions may choose to amend what they've written because they've got good feedback. They may choose not to. Okay? What will happen then is that you will get your business pack. And your business pack will contain all the reports, the moderator's report, the governing board report, all of that. Okay, so I'll see that, Kim. I'll do that in a minute. Okay, all of those things will be in the business meeting pack. And lay delegates, that's what you take to your mandating meeting or your congregational meeting, whatever you call it. Say, this is the motion. So an example of a motion is, we move that every MCC should wear bright pink for worship. Okay? That goes out to the discussion circles. And somebody in Australia says, well, you know what? We don't like pink in Australia. That's the feedback. Somebody else gives feedback from Arizona, USA. Pink is being not allowed in Arizona on Thursdays because that's a new state law that's come in, right? That feedback comes back. The person who puts forward that motion thinks, okay, well, I need to change this to blue. We want everybody to wear blue at worship, okay? And then the motion would be in the business pack. And then that's the motion that would be discussed at the business forum for any further clarifying questions. And then that would be the motion that would be voted on in the meeting, in the voting after the business meeting. In the business meeting, We can have people speaking for that motion and against that motion, just as we've always had in business meetings. And again, we would ask for people who wanted to speak for or against a motion to tell us in advance in case anything needs translating. Okay, so at the business forum is also when you would be presented with the candidates for moderator or for governing board as well. All right, so bylaw proposals will be there. Motions, if you want to put forward a motion by the 24th of January, register for the business meeting. You will get a discussion circle pack, discussion pack. Go to the discussion circles because that's where the major discussions about the business will take place. It will not take place in the business meeting. For those of you that have congregational meetings, you often have a forum before the meeting so that anyone can ask questions. And when you get to your congregational meeting, things just go through on the vote. Okay, so we're trying to have that kind of a model. The voting will be online and it will open after the business meeting has concluded. And Mike will do all the work that Mike does, sends passwords, all that sort of thing. I would strongly suggest that you make a note of the email address that you use to register with, because we have people sometimes who register using one email, but then try and vote using a different one, and it doesn't work. Okay? The voting will take place in a 24-hour period after the business meeting. If the moderator election is like the previous two elections, there could be more than one round because we have to get more than a certain percentage vote in each house. So again, voting delegates, you need to keep an eye on your emails. That will be how the results are announced. And if there's another round, then you will be told, and you'll be told how to go about it. And again, that happened in 2022 for the governing board elections. We did a second round because we didn't quite get enough votes in both houses to elect certain candidates. Okay, so let me just see. All right. Okay, I can't see any further questions. All right. There was a question there I noticed about churches in decline. Well, here's the thing. If you're a church that's not in decline, we want to know what you're doing, which is great. And the whole of Christianity is changing. Organized religion is changing. What's impacting MCC is impacting other denominations. It's impacting other faith communities. What we know is that MCC is profoundly needed. Those of us that were in the Partners in Hope gathering that preceded this, we saw a video from Mountain Spirit MCC, which is in North Carolina, USA. And Reverend Leah Brown was talking about the Christmas parade in her local town there. And for the first time, there was an LGBT plus contingent in the Christmas parade. And some people were pleased to see it, and some peoples were not. And some parents were saying to the children, don't take the candy canes that group was offering. And there was a woman who started the video saying how wonderful it was for her to be able to hold hands with her wife in church. We've just had 60 people in a network gathering in Botswana in Africa. We've never had an MCC meeting in Botswana before, as far as I'm aware. There were people there from 7 different countries. Now, if our churches are in decline in one place, they are growing in others, and that is the nature of life. We are working to provide support for churches to improve their online capabilities. We'll be launching the Innovation Fund in 2025. So if your church needs help with doing your online worship or your social media presence, we'll be able to help with that. Hopefully many of you have just seen the announcement about Flourish, working with young people and young leaders and youth to really support the young leaders that we already have and to find our leaders for the future. The Council of Elders is working with Reverend Kathy Alexander on the clergy manual to look at our ordination process to see whether that's fit for purpose these days. So there are all these different things that are looking at all sorts of aspects of church life. We can always look at our worship and see if we can improve it. We need to embrace the fact that many people will never come to our on-site premises to worship with us, but they may faithfully worship with us online or through WhatsApp or however they do it. So we're all learning together. If your church is excelling in something, let us know. If your church needs help with something, let us know. But there's no magic wand to manage all of this. We're all in it together. We're all learning together. Okay, that's the business meeting. I hope that's helpful. And once again, any further changes to General Conference going forward will come through the General Conference Commission, and you will all get to vote on it about how we go forward with General Conference. Thank you for your questions. If you have further questions, please, there are emails floating about in the chat. You can always email me and I can direct you to the right person. But Mike and Lauren, highly experienced in running these conferences. Let me just very quickly give you an example of their attention to detail. Okay, they went to visit the site, and in the restaurant it said this restaurant can seat blah blah number of people, 400 people, let's say. They didn't just take the hotel's word for it. They literally counted how many chairs were out to verify that what was on the sign was true. That's how much attention to detail they pay to the work that they are doing. And as you can see, we're still working some things out. If it's absolutely critical that you need to know some things now, I can understand that. Flights, things like that, I can understand that completely. If there are things that you can wait a month or 2 months to find the answer to, and it's not going to ruin your day if you don't know today, then please be generous and gracious as we continue to work on this new way of doing conference. And again, you know, as Lauren said, we used to meet for 5 days, and for many of us, 2 days or more of that could be taken up with business. In this way, the business is being conducted, and we can all grow together in the time on site, and we can join together in hybrid ways as well. Kim's just put an email in there, conferences@mccchurch.net.
Thank you, Cecilia, and thank you, Kim. We have about 10 minutes left, and we do, if there are any other questions, and we have a couple more things we can still present. But again, the part of this webinar, the main part was just so you could ask questions. And so if there are any other questions, please put them in the chat box for us, and we'll try to answer them. And if we happen to miss one, let us know that as well. Kim or Lauren, did you see any others that we've missed?
I didn't note any, but I do want to say that Giselle is putting together lay delegate webinars and times for folks to connect if you're a lay delegate who's returning or a new lay delegate. Things are different. We keep experimenting with General Conference, partially because that's just the time that we're in of hybrid time and all of that. So Giselle has a form. So if you are a lay delegate or you want to pass it on to your lay delegate, they can be notified of things that are going on. It'll also be in Connect and all of that. But I don't know if you're like me, but sometimes I miss even emails that I subscribe to because I get so many emails. And so this might help you to also just make sure that you're getting the information in more than one place. So please pass on that link that Giselle just put in there.
We also keep mentioning the name Kim, and I just want to recognize that Kim Raven-Noyce is assisting Lauren and I with lots and lots of details. And so we are super happy to have Kim with us and helping us with things. You may get an email from Kim. She's responding to some emails as we're working on other things. So she is great and is helping us with lots of stuff. Also, we mentioned that there is a core team that's meeting. We meet monthly to talk about things with regard to general conference. Lauren, do you have that list by any chance?
I can just a second.
And we also have about 30 people, more than 30 people, who are right now working on planning the worship services. And so there's a large group. Each worship service will be planned by a different group of people. And in total, there's over 30 people that are working on the worship services. So it's very exciting to see all the things that are happening right now.
Vicky, so Reverend Vicky put a question in about how we can encourage folk in our networks to attend, and when will information be available about workshops. We will keep sending out information. The Florida Network, co-leaders Reverend Vicky and Giselle, send out the most fantastic newsletters on a regular basis, keeping folk informed. It's really great to see. I know that other network leaders use Facebook to regularly update everybody who's in their network. What I suggest is, in the case of Florida, just because that's where you are, you've just had a fantastic network gathering. People loved it. So you just say to them, well, that was great. This is going to be with even more people learning about even more things. So if you love that, you're going to love this even more. Right? It's the short version of it. The other thing is, because we've now separated the business meeting for this conference from the transformational weekend, it may be that your lay delegate is not necessarily the person who will come to the transformational weekend. They may be absolutely the best person to send, but it may be you want to send your new music director. You want to start a youth ministry, and so you want people who are interested in that to go to the conference. What I really encourage pastors to think about is who's going to soak it up like a sponge and then come back and share it with the congregation. Because, some lay delegates will be brilliant for that, and some lay delegates are very, very interested in the business meeting and not much else. Now, that's their role, so that's very appropriate. But that's something else to think about, and they're going to have their moment to shine in the discussion circles and in the forum and in the business meeting and in the voting. So they're going to fulfill their role. But who is it that's going to go to that and come back? Plus, there's at least one pastor in Florida that said to me, we've been saving for this. And so we have got 4 years of savings for, to send people. So maybe as a group of churches, you can say, all right, well, who's got money and who's willing to help us to send somebody that the whole network will benefit from? Maybe something. I'm only speaking to the Florida network. That may not work in other areas. And in some places, we still don't have established networks. But I hope that helps a little bit as suggestions.
And generally, the workshops are offered a little bit later after the first registration deadline has passed, only because it helps us to know what the main pool of folks are. And we ask folks mostly who are coming to the conference to present things. And so that's a little bit of the timeline. And if you've been to conference before, you might know that we often open registration a year and a half before the conference. So this time, some of the things that you're used to seeing a year ahead are truncated because of the shorter window for registration. So some of that is intentional. It's a part of this kind of experimental thing going forward, just to see if we can mitigate some of the back and forth that happens when we open registration so soon or so in advance of the conference. We have so many changes that we thought if we just shorten that window, perhaps we won't have so many changes from who's registering, who needs to be, who is actually going, that sort of thing. So that's really helpful. Yeah, I just want to speak to what Kim just put in the chat. If you need a visa letter, please let us know as soon as you can. We'll write them now, even if you're still working on funding, even if we haven't gotten back about scholarships yet, that sort of thing. We will write visa letters immediately so that you can start working on visas. So if you know anybody who's working on a visa or wants to come from a place where they need a visa, that'll be really wonderful to just let us know. We have a template already ready to go, and so we're happy to fill that out and make sure that you have that for your appointments. So there's lots of ways you can get involved. We can keep addressing questions as they come in, but we're going to tell you about some of those ways.
So be sure to register right now for the Transformational Weekend, or at least before December 31st to get the early bird rate. And then after that, the rate will go up. And register for the business meeting separately, all the business events separately, and that will open sometime in January. So watch for emails to register for the business meeting. There will be no cost for the business meeting or anything like that. So you'll just register for that when that opens up if you're an eligible lay delegate or clergy member.
You can encourage other people to register. Think about people who you'd like to see there. So much of a conference experience is the other people who are there, who you bump into or choose to have lunch with. So think about who some of those people are and send them an email, send them a text, reach out to them on Facebook, ask folks to come and ask if they're coming. We really encourage all of it. If everyone here could reach out to 5 people and see if they're coming to conference, it would be great. And we do have a unique opportunity, like Cecilia said, that we can choose from our churches different folks to come to the conference too with some of our monies, because sometimes the lay delegate may not be the person who should attend the plenary or some of the workshops. And so if you're like my church, those are some things that we have to figure out and mitigate and all of that kind of stuff. So we can talk more about that with Giselle and some of her meetings that she's having with folks too.
And then once you're registered, be sure to participate in as many things as possible for both the business meeting, as Cecilia talked about, the discussion circles and the business forum and things like that. And then for the Transformational Weekend, obviously the core things that are happening during those 4 days, but also the things that happen before and after. Participate, get as much as you can out of this experience.
You can follow the behind the scenes Facebook page where we post some little insider things and some little nuggets of wisdom there. Kim is maintaining for that, us maintaining that for us. And I just want to say again, a big shout out to Kim. We really needed extra support because my limited hours and some of Mike's changing of responsibilities. And so it's amazing to have Kim's support. So thank you for that.
If you do see posts on Facebook, like about tonight's webinar, try to share those with other people. There's a bunch of invitation videos. Lots of people have done a video inviting people to come. You'll see some familiar faces and probably some new faces in those videos. And then also the Constant Contact email blast. Feel free to share those when you get those about General Conference.
And whether you're planning to come online or in person, please indicate that you're coming by sharing or saying that you're coming on the Facebook page, on the event page, because that'll indicate to others. They'll see your name and be excited about seeing you.
And then we're always looking for volunteers for both the online and on-site events. If you are interested, when you register, you can select some of those. If you're excited now about something, you heard something that you'd like to participate in, again, just send an email to conferences@mccchurch.net, and we'll be sure to get in touch with you because we obviously need lots of volunteers to help with all the various events. Did any other questions come in? Kim has put some links in the chat as well. And we've gone over just a little bit. Again, if you do have any other questions, please just send them to us and we'll be happy to address them. And then, Lauren, are you closing us in prayer?
I'm happy to. All right. Oops. If someone will stop FaceTiming me. Great. All right. All hearts and minds clear tonight, today, this afternoon, wherever your time zone is. Great. Let us pray. Holy God, we thank you. We thank you for the opportunity to gather. We thank you for the opportunity to connect in person and online. We thank you for the opportunities that you give us to envision a future of MCC that might look different than we've known it to be, but will be strong and queer and prophetic like it always has been. So help us to make arrangements for this general conference, for our participation in it, and for the participation of people who inspire us. Help us to be open to the new ways of doing things, even if they feel strange, unfamiliar, and different for all of us. Allow us to take this opportunity to try something on and to be excited about the ways that you will always move, no matter the shape that General Conference takes. And so we thank you that we are a people who can move with you. We thank you for the ways that you come into our lives afresh. And we thank you in this Advent season that you will come amongst us again. So open our hearts and our spirits to receive you in a fresh way. Blow the fresh wind of spirit amongst us and through us until we meet again in July. In your many names and ways we pray. Amen.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Spread the word, attend the discussion
everyone.
circles, invite your friends. It's all good. Looking forward to seeing you all on site or online. God bless.